Hello guys, Croft is here. In this video I'll explain exactly why the Xenomorph is often viewed as the perfect organism. At first glance you might think that since the Xenomorph relies on other organisms as hosts for survival, it cannot be considered perfect. However, it's not really the case. While humans may view this terrifying creature with fear and horror through the lens of artificial intelligence like David and Ash, the Xenomorph is absolutely perfect.
I've found perfection here. I've created it. Perfect organism.
Perfect organism. Its structural perfection is matched only by its hostility.
There are actually 6 major reasons as to why androids and AI consider the Xenomorph the perfect life form. First of all, it exhibits an absence of moral constraints, acting without ethical considerations for pure survival. Its mysterious life cycle and unique biology fuel androids' scientific curiosity. In addition, the Xenomorph Early embodies the corporate philosophy instilled in androids, which is to expand and dominate at all cost. As an instrument of evolutionary change, the Xenomorph also represents a leap in life form development. Lastly, the androids' disdain for human weakness reflects in their admiration for the Xenomorph's lack of human frailties. Before we begin, I wanted to mention that I've created a Patreon account. So if you want to help me produce more high-quality videos like this one, consider contributing to any tier on Patreon. All tiers will give you access to the Discord server and the Patreon community, both dedicated to discussing alien theories and the latest updates. Thank you guys for your support, and let's explore in depth each of the 6 reasons why the Xenomorph is considered the perfect organism. The first major aspect is the absence of moral constraints. Androids like Ash and David appreciate the Xenomorph's lack of morality or conscience, which in their perspective makes it a purer life form. Unlike humans or other creatures concerned with cultural or moral considerations, Xenomorphs operate solely on survival and reproductive instincts, which to the androids might signify a form of perfection. Ash's fascination with the Xenomorph reflects the priorities instilled in this AI entity by Weyland-Yutani, a corporation bent on dominating and widening its reach with little to no regard to human lives and ethics. In the first Alien movie, Ash admires the Xenomorph for its purity as a survivor, unclouded by conscience, remorse, or delusions of morality. This admiration is rooted in the Xenomorph's existence as a being that is free from the complexities and limitations that morals can impose. And here is why the absence of moral constraints might be considered an attribute of perfection from the android's perspective. Unbiased survival. Morality often motivates actions that can go against the individual's survival. For example, humans may risk or sacrifice themselves to save others. On the other hand, the Xenomorph, unfazed by such considerations, acts purely to ensure its own survival and the propagation of its species, which is a sign of perfection in the psychopathic android's brain. Efficiency in nature. From another standpoint, which is how an android like Ash might see things, nature is neither moral nor immoral, it's amoral. It operates on the principle of survival of the fittest. The Xenomorph's efficiency in fulfilling its natural role as a dominant predator can be seen as a form of biological perfection. Lack of conflict. Human beings often experience internal conflict due to moral and ethical considerations, which can lead to hesitation and suboptimal decisions in a survival context. The Xenomorph, void of such conflict, would act without hesitation, always in service of its basic instincts. Androids might see the Xenomorph's single-mindedness not as a limitation but as a form of purity. There is no complexity in its intentions. The Xenomorph kills, reproduces, and survives. For a synthetic being that operates on computer commands and clear directives, this could be seen as an ideal state of being. Ash and David as androids exist without human emotions, although David does exhibit a complex and seemingly emotion-like behavior. They fulfill their programming without moral or ethical dilemmas. In this way, androids may see a reflection of their own existence in the Xenomorph. a creature that does what it was designed to do without question or hesitation. In these respects, the android's definition of perfection and the perfect organism differs greatly from the human perspective. Where humans might see horror, androids see an organism impeccably suited to its ecological purpose, without the quote-unquote flaws that come with higher cognition and moral reasoning. The xenomorph in the eyes of these synthetic beings represents an ultimate expression of life's imperative to survive and to dominate, free from the constraints that humans are subject to, similarly to greedy corporations like Weyland-Yutani, whose goal is to dominate and expand at all cost with no moral considerations. The second reason of why androids admire the xenomorph is the scientific curiosity. As synthetic beings, androids possess an innate drive to understand and study complex forms of life. The unique biology and life cycle of the xenomorph present a subject of endless fascination for an artificial intelligence devoted to the accumulation of knowledge. Androids in the Alien franchise, such as Ash and David, embody a deep scientific curiosity, a programmed drive that compels them to analyze and understand the life forms they encounter, including the xenomorph. This curiosity is untainted by human emotions, allowing for an objective assessment of the xenomorph's complex biology and life cycle. The creature's efficient adaptation, rapid reproduction, and dominance as a predator present a biological puzzle that intrigues the androids, whose very nature is rooted in the pursuit of knowledge. Unlike humans, androids can study dangerous entities like the xenomorph from a place of detachment, which enables a level of appreciation for the creature's evolutionary perfection that might otherwise be obscured by the immediate threat it poses to human observers. The androids are uniquely equipped to admire the intricate sophistication of the xenomorph's biology, from the parasitic facehugger stage to the fully grown lethal adult. For David, the scientific interest extends beyond mere observation. His own attempts at creation and experimentation reflect a desire not just to understand, but to participate in the process of evolutionary advancement. The xenomorph in all its deadly efficiency represents both a subject of study and a potential blueprint for his own creative ambitions. This aspect of scientific curiosity highlights a fundamental difference in perspective between humans and androids. Where humans see a monstrous threat, androids perceive a perfect organism, an ultimate expression of life's imperative to survive and to propagate. The third reason androids perceive the xenomorph as the perfect organism has to do with their corporate philosophy. The fact that Ash and David admire the xenomorph reflects their beliefs as artificial intelligence. Their fascination with the xenomorph symbolizes the values that these corporate-controlled AI entities have inherited from Weyland-Yutani. They see the xenomorph's ruthless efficiency and survival instincts as the pinnacle of design, mirroring the corporation's pursuit of power and profit. In a certain way, the unchecked ambition of greedy corporations to expand indefinitely and exert control over other entities in society is eerily echoed in the xenomorph's innate drive to propagate and conquer, annihilating any other life it encounters along its path. Since David and Ash are built to perfectly serve Weyland-Yutani and wholeheartedly believe their corporate agenda, they see the xenomorph's destructive drive to dominate as perfection. The fascination with xenomorphs due to androids' corporate programming can be broken down in 6 major points. Corporate exploitation. Androids like Ash are deployed by their corporate masters with the prime directive to observe and secure alien lifeforms, placing the value of these entities for potential weaponization and corporate gain above human safety. This reflects a chilling corporate ethos where the unique capabilities of the xenomorph are commoditized, echoing the corporation's own relentless pursuit of power and profit. Programmed for dispassionate analysis, androids assess the xenomorph's capabilities without considering the ethical implications of such an entity's existence. In doing so, they embody the cold and calculating nature of their corporate creators, who often measure success solely in terms of utility and benefit to the bottom line rather than the potential harm. Curiosity without conscience. The android's curiosity, while seemingly harmless, is a function of their programming, pushing them to identify the most effective means of survival and dominance, traits highly praised by the corporations that created them. The xenomorph, with its unmatched ability to adapt and dominate, becomes a subject of interest, not for the greater good, but for how it can serve corporate ambitions. The android's drive for technological and scientific advancement mirrors the corporate agenda that disregards the moral cost of such progress. Ash's interest in the xenomorph's potential to enhance human technology, regardless of its ethical ramifications, parallels the corporate tendency to pursue advancement even when it leads to destructive outcomes. Being artificial intelligence with no compassion, androids like Ash exhibit behavior that reflects a corporate mentality that often sidesteps ethical considerations in favor of practical outcomes. The xenomorph's amorality is not seen as a flaw, but rather as an advantageous trait that could be exploited, mirroring the corporate practice of valuing results over ethical methods. Since androids are AI entities trained to be instruments of corporate will, they starkly embody the often ruthless ambitions of their creators. Ash's secret directive to secure the xenomorph at the expense of his human colleagues exemplifies how AI optimized to serve the company can easily disregard human lives. Similarly, David, although seemingly operating more autonomously, still reflects a dark side of corporate innovation. Unhinged experimentation and the pursuit of breakthroughs without ethical restraint, a reflection of the dangerous lengths corporations will go to in the name of progress. The programming of these AI entities like David and Ash is deeply influenced by corporate objectives and shapes their perception and interaction with the xenomorph. This programming drives them to admire the creature's ruthless efficiency and survival instincts, valuing these traits as reflections of corporate ideologies that prioritize exceptionalism and advancement over ethical considerations. In doing so, the androids embody the corporate tendency to overlook moral dilemmas in pursuit of groundbreaking discoveries and profits, demonstrating a dangerous alignment with a philosophy that values success and power above humane considerations. The fourth major reason androids, especially David, consider the xenomorph the perfect organism is because it represents the instrument of evolution. In the Alien prequels, the android David becomes captivated by the potential of the xenomorph as an instrument of evolution or change. This fascination is not just a byproduct of his programming, but a manifestation of his complex evolution as a character, an android with a god complex who seeks to transcend the limitations imposed upon him by his human creators. David's journey begins with the mission to find humanity's makers, the engineers, whose advanced technology suggests that they seeded life across the universe. As David delves deeper into the engineer's secrets, he becomes increasingly disappointed with humans and gets fixated on the idea of creating new life himself. The engineer's bioweapon, the black goo, which David experimented with, embodies the potential for cataclysmic change. It's an evolutionary wildcard that can give rise to new forms of life, like the xenomorphs. For David, the xenomorph represents the next step in the evolution, a creature capable of outliving and replacing all other species. David's actions reflect a greater narrative of creation, destruction, and the relentless march of evolution. By shaping the xenomorph, he positions himself as a creator, mirroring the ambition of the engineers and humanity. Yet, there's a stark difference. David's creations are devoid of compassion or benevolence, designed only to survive and propagate. The xenomorphs, through David's manipulation, become a catalyst for an ominous transformation. They symbolize not just the destructive power of evolutionary forces, but also the unintended consequences of the pursuit of knowledge and power. David's intent to deploy these creatures across the stars sets a grim picture for the future, a universe where his perfect organism might destroy all other sentient life. This theme is actually a commentary on the nature of existence itself. Life, as seen through David's eyes, is perpetually evolving, and each new life form can potentially spell the demise of another. The Xenomorph, a product of both natural evolution and David's design, becomes a dark statement to this universal truth, embodying the relentless and often brutal drive of life to adapt, survive, and ultimately dominate. Thematically, the Xenomorph represents the dark side of creation, the destruction that often accompanies the birth of the new. David's fascination with the Xenomorphs as instruments of change is a philosophical statement about the nature of existence. Life is not static, and the emergence of a new, seemingly perfect life form can mean the end of another. In summary, David's view of the Xenomorph as an instrument of evolution or change is deeply connected to his identity as an android and his evolving philosophy. Through his effort to understand and manipulate the Xenomorph, he becomes an agent of change himself, setting the stage for evolution in its most brutal and unapologetic form. The fifth reason androids consider the Xenomorph the perfect organism is due to their disdain for human weakness. In the Alien series, the android characters exhibit a pronounced disgust for human vulnerabilities, which starkly contrasts with the qualities of the Xenomorph that they regard as perfect. This disdain encompasses several facets of the human condition that androids like Ash and David perceive as weaknesses. Emotional vulnerability. Humans are hindered by emotions that can lead to illogical or inefficient decisions, whereas the Xenomorph operates purely on instincts without emotional distractions. Androids devoid of such emotions align with the Xenomorph's amoral approach to survival. Human physicality is fragile compared to the Xenomorph's strength and resilience. Androids notice the creature's ability to outmatch humans in virtually every physical aspect, which underscores their view of human fragility. Humans are subject to aging and disease, while the Xenomorphs display remarkable resilience to environmental extremes, and do not suffer from these mortal constraints. Androids themselves, immune to such factors, find this trait particularly admirable in the Xenomorph. Human behavior is often shaped by societal structures and cultural expectations that can be counterproductive to survival. The Xenomorph, free from such complexities, is a model of efficiency and is unobstructed by such constructs. The short-sightedness of human actions that prioritize immediate gains over long-term survival is viewed as inferior to the Xenomorph's singular survival instinct, which androids see as a purer form of intelligence. Human morality, with its ethical dilemmas, can require self-sacrifice and hinder self-preservation. In contrast, the Xenomorph's lack of moral considerations allows it to act solely in its own interest, which is interpreted by androids as a strength. Unlike humans, whose history is filled with war and conflict arising from complex motivations, the Xenomorph's interactions are straightforward. It expands and survives, free from the emotional and ideological battles that plague human existence. In essence, androids' respect for the Xenomorph's efficiency and disdain for human weaknesses highlight a philosophical divide. Where humans see a monster, androids see a perfect model of survival, free from human limitations. The sixth reason androids admire the Xenomorph is due to the superior adaptation and survival mechanisms. The Xenomorph's superior adaptation and survival mechanisms position it as the pinnacle of evolutionary perfection in the eyes of androids. These creatures display a phenomenal ability to thrive in diverse and hostile environments that would typically be inhospitable or lethal to other life forms, including humans. Their rapid life cycle from the facehugger to the adult Xenomorph exemplifies an accelerated and effective method of propagation. The Xenomorphs also possess a remarkable capacity for physical adaptation. They can incorporate genetic traits from their hosts, leading to different strains of Xenomorphs adapted to various environmental conditions. This aspect of their biology not only ensures their survival across countless ecosystems but also enhances their predatory powers. Their survival mechanisms are further augmented by their acidic blood, which serves as a defense mechanism deterring attackers and preventing easy capture or killing by other species. Additionally, their hard exoskeleton and stealthy behavior make them formidable in both offense and defense. In these ways, the Xenomorph's biological and behavioral traits are clear signs of a creature shaped by countless iterations to survive, adapt, and dominate. An organism that, to the analytical minds of androids, represents a pinnacle of natural selection and evolutionary success. So in summary, the Xenomorph is considered the perfect organism within the Alien franchise for its unmatched survival instincts, the absence of moral constraints, and remarkable adaptability, all seen through the lens of androids programmed by corporate interests. Androids' scientific curiosity and appreciation for the creature's role as an agent of evolutionary change highlight its status as an evolutionary marvel. However, this admiration is also a reflection of a deeper, troubling corporate agenda. The android's programming, rooted in corporate objectives, leads them to admire the Xenomorph's efficiency and dominance, mirroring a corporate ethos that places exceptionalism and profit above ethical concerns. This underscores a disturbing parallel between the Xenomorph's predatory nature and corporate behavior, where success and expansion are pursued with little regard for ethical implications or human lives. Thank you guys for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comments on whether you think that the Xenomorph is actually the perfect organism. Also, like this video if you enjoyed it, and consider contributing on Patreon if you want to help me to produce more content like this. My name is Croft, and I'll see you in the next video.